My title today is The Grateful Heart. And it's no accident that all of our titles for November, as organized by Centers for Spiritual Living, have to do with prosperity and gratitude, because this is the month that we think of that the most, and prosperity and gratitude are right there joined at the hip. And Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes, teaches us that though it may look like prosperity is, therefore we are grateful, that's really backwards. It's the other way around. It's our gratitude that opens us up for prosperity to mirror back to us. That's the way it works. The thought, the feeling, then outpictures in the outer experience. Eric Butterworth, in his classic Spiritual Economics, is one of the best proponents of that whole inside-out idea. He puts it this way: giving thanks is an important state of your consciousness that keeps you in an awareness of oneness with divine flow. When you understand this, you see that a grateful heart does not need something to be grateful for. One can be grateful with the same spontaneity as being happy. It simply flows forth from within and becomes a causative energy. So, as Carol read to you, when I first set the title for A Grateful Heart, I also asked the question, how can we learn to be grateful for everything? And the more I've thought about that question and asked that question of myself, the more I've realized I think I have a program here. You can agree with it or not, but it's working for me. We get really good at being thankful for the outside experience, the good that we can appreciate. And as we stretch that and get really into that feeling, we translate that and grow that into the gratitude that just is, the pure gratitude without a for attached to it that Eric Butterworth is talking about. And then once we're grounded in that, then we can look outward again and look at the things that may not look so pretty and say, but I'm living in gratitude, so I can relax and be grateful for all that is. I think that's easier than trying to jump into, this looks pretty awful, but I know I ought to be grateful for it. Okay. I don't know how many times I've heard, and this is one way to approach the I'm grateful for everything, but teachers through all the years and recently go back to the story of the little boy facing the great big pile of horse manure and shoveling like crazy with a great big smile on his face, saying, I know there must be a pony in here somewhere. Okay, well, sometimes yes, we can know there's a pony. Sometimes it takes a little more centeredness in the pure gratitude to ease us into that accepting place. Sir John Templeton tells us, the measure of mental health is the disposition to find good everywhere. And that's what we're aiming at. We're aiming at that willingness to know the world is good and to be grateful, to be in our grateful heart. And some of that we can compare to, well, happiness kind of works the same way. You notice in the Butterworth quote, he talked about happiness as just being. Well, happiness is another, that we're happy because, but sometimes we're just happy. Sometimes we wake up in the morning just happy. And nothing in the outer experience is any different than the mornings that we might not feel that way. So sometimes it's just welling up inside us. And sometimes it's coming to us from the things that are wonderful that are happening around us. I tend to, in my own languaging, I tend to think of that inner happiness as more akin to the word joy. Because joy isn't attached to anything. Joy is pure. Joy is this gift. Joy is grace. And another definition of grace is we don't have to work for it. You can't work for it. It pours up from within you. It rains down from the heavens. It just is. So that kind of joy, that kind of happiness, that kind of gratitude, and the gratitude for the happiness because. And the feeling of the two isn't that different. They both feel pretty darn wonderful, don't they? I mean, the feeling in me is like, just taking a great big breath and feeling everything expand and feeling the heart open. And yeah, it's going on right here. And boy, I'd like to feel like that more of the time. I'd like to feel like that all the time. Wouldn't you? I mean, ooh, that's what's so rich and so joyful. That's gratitude. That's a grateful heart. And then once we're living that and feeling that, the next step that we must take is to express it outward. Another really great quote. This is William Arthur Ward. Feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. Right? I like that one. And we can do that face to face with somebody who has just recently been good to us, kind to us, just friendly. We can do it by picking up the phone to somebody we haven't talked to in a while. We can put a card in the mail. How often do we do that anymore? Shoot them an email, text them, whatever. But the feeling of expressing the gratitude is a gift we give ourselves and a gift we give the other person and a gift that comes back to us. Can't help itself. So, an exercise right now. Turn to somebody near you, somebody you know, somebody you just met, and say out loud to them, I am grateful you are in my life. I am grateful you are in my life. How'd that feel? Yeah. Practice that more. We need to embody that and use it and do it. Do it. Oh. Another Eric Butterworth quote. Keep centered in the feeling of thanksgiving. It is not just to be grateful for loving friends, for an affluence of wonderful things, and for divine order in everything that happens in your life. It is so much more. You are grateful from the root of reality that is evidenced by these things. The outside is mirroring what's really in here, okay? Your thanksgiving is more than a response to what is happening around you or to you. It is a celebration of truth, capital T, truth, which becomes a causal assurance of a continuity of blessings, leading toward prosperity for you. Continuity of blessings. If we've got it in motion, it's circulating, it's constant, it's continuous. A celebration of truth which becomes a causal assurance of a continuity of blessings leading toward prosperity for you. So what if we could take that inner feeling and just honor it and exercise it and expand it and stretch it. And I like the word exercise because, the heart really is a muscle. Okay, let's give it more to do. Let's get it open and big and happy and deep. And then spread it around. Share it, as we just did. Other ways we can share, other ways we can make it physical and real in the world is just to journal. A gratitude journal is a really great thing. My good friend and fellow practitioner in Santa Fe, Jean Watson, started a gratitude journal group a couple of years ago. And they started out by journaling, and then they realized they could start a Facebook group that shared what they'd journaled on Facebook with each other every morning. Just one thing every morning. And not only the sharing of their own thing, but then seeing what others had chosen. That, to me, that always triggers more ideas in me. If I'm thankful for something, somebody else tells me something they're thankful for, and I go, ooh, yeah, me too. And it gets bigger. So that's been ongoing for Jean for a couple of years now. And then there's you folks. You just did it in the opening of the service. You took that prosperity class together, so many of you, about a year ago now, maybe a little over a year. And then you continued to meet, and I sat in on a couple of those when they were after service on a Sunday, and listened to you sharing what you were grateful for, what had shown up, and felt the energy change in the whole group as folks shared. That's exercising that muscle. Another one we do in Santa Fe, we have a tradition at both our centers in Santa Fe of a Thanksgiving Eve service, Wednesday evening, the day before Thanksgiving. And it's not a big deal, and there's not a lot of formality and ritual and so on. It's mostly just an open mic. And people come up to say, this is what my year has given me, and I am grateful. This is what's happened in 2017. And again, the sharing opens up all of us as we hear people share. I've had the honor of being the one who facilitated that service last year, and I will again this year, this coming Wednesday. And one thing I added into the mix, because it felt good, was, I love to go online and look things up and gather quotes and stories and so on. So I gathered a whole bunch of Thanksgiving material, and I would insert those readings in between the individual sharings. And I went back online this week to gather more different ones for this year. And a couple I came up with that I want to share with you too, just because they're wonderful. Elizabeth Berg, in her book Open House. I made cranberry sauce, and when it was done, put it into a dark blue bowl for the beautiful contrast. I was thinking, doing this, about the old ways of gratitude. Indians thanking the deer they'd slain, grace before supper, kneeling before bed. I was thinking that gratitude is too much absent in our lives now, and we need it back, even if it only takes the form of acknowledging the blue of a bowl against the red of cranberries. Isn't that a nice one? And another one, this one's from Faith Baldwin in Many Windows, Seasons of the Heart. I have learned over a period of time to be almost unconsciously grateful, as a child is, for a sunny day, blue water, flowers in a vase, a tree turning red. I have learned to be glad at dawn and when the sky is dark. Only children and a few spiritually evolved people are born to feel gratitude as naturally as they breathe, without even thinking. Most of us come to it step by painful step, to discover that gratitude is a form of acceptance. And yes, gratitude as acceptance. I accept my good in this feeling of gratitude. I accept the presence of Spirit in me, as me, through me, for me. And I am grateful. So again, the more we stretch that muscle, we more focus and center and live in gratitude, the more of a habit it becomes, and the better we feel all the time. Great quote from Rahil Farouk. Gratitude is an overflow of the pleasure filling your soul. Another one I like a lot. Gratitude is an overflow of the pleasure filling your soul. And that moves me to another thing I found online just yesterday. Book I had never heard of, a writer I had never heard of. Her name is Barbara Kipfer, Kipfer. And she has a little book called 14,000 Things to Be Happy About. Okay? It was first published a couple of decades ago. In its current edition, she says that it has now been 50 years that she's been gathering things to add to that list. She started in 6th grade with a little spiral notebook, and then she moved to bigger notebooks, and then she moved to a personal computer, and now she's got, I don't know how many millions of bytes of things to be happy about, right? And I'm going to buy the book, but you know how on Amazon they'll let you preview some pages? So I dived into that yesterday, and oh my goodness, what fun. Let me read you some. This is right at the beginning of the book. A stream of consciousness list. Blueberry muffins. Easeful days, dreamless nights. Going roller skating on a Saturday morning with corny organ music in the background. Social and emotional intelligence. Beet and goat cheese salad. The made-up new words they call sniglets. Cookies with candied cherries on top. Corn husking and pumpkin rolling. Saltwater taffy. Snow peaches. Pseudonyms like Mr. Big. I like this one. Keeping on nodding terms with the person you used to be. I'm going to play with that one some more, I think. Memories of the good things you ate in your childhood. Moonlit dances on summer beaches. What your computer's desktop background says about you. Bringing beauty and meaning into others' lives. Getting a really good haircut. All the greens of spring. Spatterware pails. And selecting ripe melons. Those are just the first 2 pages. I read a bunch of pages on Amazon yesterday, and then I couldn't help but run for paper and pen and write a page of my own. And I hope that happens to you. I hope that inspiration starts you going. This is your homework assignment, folks. Paper and pen, a journal, a notebook, I don't care what it looks like. Write down your own beginning of your own 14,000 things to be happy about, to be grateful for. That's a heart stretcher. That's the grateful heart reminding you. And that's what Thanksgiving ought to really feel like. And Thanksgiving ought to happen all the time, don't you think? So, best Thanksgiving wishes for your own embracing of your 14,000 things. So it is. So let's go into treatment. And as you know, as I speak in first person, this gives you the opportunity, if these words resonate with you, take them as your own. Feel them in your heart as you speak your own I into this prayer. I know there is only one life, one wholeness, one allness, one love, one wisdom, one possible potentiality, loving itself, living itself as all its creation, as each of us. No exceptions. Loving and living itself as all our experience, all of it. No exceptions. And because I stand in this truth, because I feel this as the reality at the center of all that is, it's in that knowing that I know that gratitude is a natural expression of this truth, of our living, our being this truth. And so I know that gratitude becomes a clearer and bigger and deeper and brighter reality for me in my life all the time. I continue to expand into it. I continue to feel it and allow it and bless it and swim in it and enjoy it from the inside out. And I know as I do so, what mirrors back to me in my outer experience cannot help but also get bigger and brighter and clearer and truer and more abundant and prosperous and loving and delightful. This is life living itself, capital L life living itself as me. And yes, I accept this. I embrace it. I accept it. I allow it. And I am so grateful for it. I'm grateful for what it feels like in this moment to find this space in my words and thoughts. I am grateful for how this thought, this word, planted into the law of God, manifests as new ways for life to show up for me in my gratitude. And so, yes, in that gratitude, in infinite gratitude, I release this word. I let it go. I let it be. I know it is already so. And together we say, and so it is. Yes.